Hey everybody, Stu Smith here, going live, taking some questions today, and I'm going to save the combat swimmer stroke videos until the end because last week, for some reason, I lost my video after sharing my screen. I couldn't find my video again, so don't know if it's a technical issue or just personal screw up by human. So I'm going to save it to the end just in case. So, happy Tuesday. Today was a good morning. We did a workout right before the storm came at the Naval Academy at 6 a.m. with 800 high school kids. A lot of fun. Only bad thing about it was did not have a microphone to yell. A whole football field of 800 kids yelling back at me, so a little bit lost my voice a little, but not as bad as I thought I would. So maybe it'll hit me tomorrow. Let me see. Wrote an article yesterday, posted it up on military.com. I put the description and the link in the actual video description here for the live announcement. And it's about Air Force Special Warfare making some changes again. The good news is that this change is really just a name change versus a big change in standards and exercises and all those things. What they have basically done is they've always had the PAST test, the physical abilities and stamina test. I think that's what it stands for. Which is now they've changed it in the last 15 years a couple times. It is now pull-ups first, sit-ups, push-ups, mile and a half, followed by two 25-meter underwater swims and a 500-meter swim, or 1,500-meter if you're going officer, and a 3-mile run if you're going officer. So that is the PASS test. However, it is still the test that you will take as a recruit along your special warfare journey. They just changed the name. It is now called the IFT, which stands for Initial Fitness Test, which I have to say makes a lot of sense because I can't tell you how much confusion has occurred over the years with folks just screwing up the name, doing the wrong tests, preparing for the wrong standards. There is a problem with a lot of information being out there. It's almost too much information. And sometimes websites aren't updated as quickly as the changes occur. So you might see old standards, which usually isn't a big deal as long as you're not striving for the minimum standards. But if you're trying to crush the fitness test, it doesn't really matter what the standards are. You're going to exceed those anyway. So not that big a deal overall, but it is nice to be able to actually find updated information. And me personally, after writing about 40 different fitness tests and programs that follow them, it is very hard to stay on top of all of it. So even I am, a few months behind typically, because they've made the IFT change back in November, and I'm just now talking about it. I think I've seen it for about a month, and wanted to make sure there were no actual changes to that. And there's not. That's the good news. It is all the same PASS test as it was, as updated in November 2021. When it was called the PASS test, it is now called the IFT. So same test, same standards. Now, the cool thing about what the Air Force has done is there's a secondary test that will occur somewhere along the pipeline, as well as when you're an operator in a special warfare unit. It is actually called the operator fitness test. So you have the IFT and the OFT. Seems like a very logical progression to me, because what I have seen over the years is people having to remember a whole bunch of different styles of tests. For instance, back in my day, we took the Buds PFT, then they changed the name to the PST. Not sure why. And then once you were in the teams, you took the SEAL PFT, which was a longer swim and a longer run, like 800-meter swim and a 3-mile run. So that was sometimes confusing. People would take the SEAL take the SEAL's PST, think they're taking the Buds PFT, vice versa. And then they created this human performance test, which is a ton of different exercises, very similar to what they have now in the the operator fitness test that the Air Force, where you have deadlifts and agility runs, rucks, swim or run for the Air Force. But yeah, there have been a lot of changes in the last decade, and staying on top of them is somewhat challenging, but that's what I'm here for. So I am here to take some questions, as well as maybe show you some CSS here on the back end of this show. So if you have any questions, send them. Trying to find some of the questions I saw yesterday that were really good, and I was unable to answer them because of just running out of time. I was asked about what kind of jobs. I made a comment last week about jobs and just staying on your feet all day and moving. Instead of trying to run 60 or 70 miles a week, once you get a job where you're on your feet. And this one kid emailed me and says, "Hey, I move furniture after I do sports and workouts, preparing for special warfare. What is that?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, moving furniture? That's hard stuff. It requires strength. You're on your feet all day. You're burning a lot of calories just moving around doing stuff." And if you think about what a day of spec ops training is, it's a lot of that. I mean, yeah, you're going to work out hard. You're going to do a couple of runs. You're going to do a ruck or two. Then you may have some standing around where you're taking care of boats and moving boats, moving the logs from one place to the other, mostly administrative. Then you might have like a 1 mile kind of slow walk or slow jog walk to the chow hall. So you're just always on your feet. So if you can find something where you're always on your feet and then, get a good night's sleep. Where people screw up and do this is they go way into the night, or they do night shift work. And then once you start screwing up your sleep, your natural sleep, it's really hard to recover and see progress. So if you're going to do this, do all that stuff in the day. Yes, you can have a long day, but get a good night's sleep if you can, right? Being young, probably going to be an easier way to recover. But as you age, you're definitely going to really need to focus on your sleep. Complete Guide has running 6 miles in 40 minutes. Have you done that? I have run 5 miles in 30. Yeah. Yeah. So about 32. And yeah, I've done 6 miles in under 40. It's not easy. It was back when I was hitting 6-7 minute mile pace pretty steadily. It can be done. Put it this way, I didn't run many like 10-mile runs. I couldn't do that I had a friend of mine that could do 10 miles in 70 minutes. I tried to hang with him on that, could not. But I was able to do it for about 40 minutes. So between 40 and 42 is pretty decent. What should your pace be when you're running upwards of 8 miles? I don't know. I don't run upwards of 8 miles. So if you're trying to run a marathon, I don't know, 7-minute mile pace, 8-minute mile pace. If you're trying to prepare for buds, I don't think you necessarily need to run a lot of 8+ mile events. I would probably cut an 8-mile run in half and do a 4-mile timed run fast and a 4-mile ruck. That is what I would do, versus just running 8 miles. Don't run it slowly. That's the thing. Don't have wasted mileage. What I mean by that is, why go out and run a 10-minute mile for 8 miles and just beat up your legs for 80 minutes? That's my opinion. Now, you're going to get different opinions from running coaches and guys not in spec ops, guys who haven't been through that training. That's fine. Everybody has their opinion. I just don't think you need to run 60, 70 miles a week to prepare for buds. I think anywhere between 25 and 40 is sufficient, depending on your personal needs of that training and your strengths and weaknesses. Do they swim underwater with scuba gear at buds? Of course. How else would you swim underwater? Other than 50 meters underwater. You're always on underwater when you're wearing scuba gear. It's called second phase. I'm dropping weight. Started doing cows and cardio. Nice. Monday I did push-ups, dips, abs. Today I do body squats, lunges, shoulders. Tomorrow chin-ups and curls. How do you structure cows and cardio? Same way I would do with weights. I personally prefer upper body, lower body days when I'm doing cows and cardio. So if it were me, I would put those shoulders in with your push-up dips. I would add pull-ups too to that and just do squats, lunges, and running, rucking. I see you're kind of doing it kind of like a bro split where you're doing, push, legs, pull type of splits. It's not bad. I don't think it's necessarily needed. I have done a lot of push pull leg splits over the years where one day is just nothing but pull days, and then the next day's push, and the next day's legs. So you can break them up that way. I typically now do more full body, or not full body, but upper body, lower body splits with a mobility day and treading swimming day, and then do upper body, lower body. And then depending on the sixth workout of the week, I may make it all cardio where we do multiple forms like a run, swim, ruck or something, or we will mix in some more upper body if everybody's up for it. Everybody's feeling good. So let your body kind of determine how it responds. My suggestion is try it. Try a split that works for you. If you're seeing weight loss with this program and that's your goal, great. Keep on doing it. If it's working, don't change it just because I do it a certain way. You make changes when you're not seeing results and you need to change things up and come up with a different way to do it. But by all means, if it's working, keep doing it. Do you go hard every day on your runs, or do you have any easy run days? Personally, for me, any running is not easy. All right, because I hate running. I've always hated running, right? But I got good at running because I still did it anyway. So I think a better question would be what kind of intensity I would have with running. Yes, there are lower intensity days. There are higher intensity days, but they're all hard by my definition. I don't have any easy run days because running is not easy. Put it this way, Anthony. Most folks going into Spec Ops are trying to build up their mileage, but they're not high mileage running athletes. So that poses a problem. That poses a problem because often they do way too much, way too soon without a logical progression, and then they get injured. So what I'm offering is more of the triathlon style model where you still have easy cardio days instead of a long, slow distance day that's just really beating up your legs. You can do the same thing on a bike or in the pool. So basically, what I'm saying is if you're trying to build a running base with long, slow distance runs, that's great. You do you. But if you're a bigger guy trying to lose weight, getting ready for Spec Ops, and you're a power strength type runner, you are going to definitely want to not progress too quickly, but you can still build a cardio base with the non-impact forms of cardio that like triathletes do. 2/3 of their cardio is non-impact cardio. And if you find some statistics out there on the least injured athletes out there in the running world, it's triathletes. It's because non-impact cardio is good for you. Ever heard of the Pakistanis Black Beret 36-mile ruck? I have not. Sounds like a 36-mile ruck in some hills, probably. Hey, can you explain booties and rocket fins work for sizing? I don't know, man. I pretty much I wear 11 size shoe. So I have an 11 size boot, I have an 11 size booty, and I get the super extra large fins because I have a thicker sole and thicker neoprene booty that allows for me to take up some of that extra foot space in there. It's just personal preference. If you have a thinner booty, you could probably go with a smaller sized fin footwell. But probably the best way to do it is try to find a scuba shop that sells them for one, or find a buddy that has them and see if they fit you, and find a pair of good booties that you like. I personally like the ones with like a little sole on the bottom because you're definitely going to want those kind when you're walking around, concrete, especially in second phase. You're going to want a thicker pair of booties. So I actually used my own booties when I was going through buds versus the issue. Not that the issues were bad. I just liked wearing them. They were exactly the same. I mean, a little bit different, but not different enough to spark any instructor's interests. So there you go. Any more questions over here? Let's see. I'm running 3 miles at a 6:30 pace and 5 miles at a 6:47. Been training for 29 weeks now. What do you think my next step should be? That's great. I would maintain it. There's something to be said about flattening out the growth curve. Find a good amount of mileage that you can handle and see if you can stay up there for a month or so, working on your speed even more, but keeping your volume the same. So I have that article that I wrote where it's only 20 miles a week of running, but it's all about getting your pace faster during that 20-mile a week running cycle where you just stay at 20 miles a week for 6 weeks, focusing solely on getting faster. at those paces. So you try to hit that 6-minute mile, try to hit that 7-minute mile. You might have spent the last 10 weeks or so building up to 20 miles a week. Now stay there and work on your speed versus keep on adding, keep on adding, keep on adding, and wondering why you're getting slower. Because probably you just are doing more miles slower. So you're getting good at running slowly. What I'm trying to do, like what you're doing, it appears, is to get good at running fast. So if you can run a sub 7 5 mile, that's great. If you can run closer to 6 flat on the 3 mile, that's really good. I would probably go that route. Make that a next goal for you. I think your 5 mile and longer pace is pretty good. You know, you could probably hold a 7-minute pace for 6 pretty easily. So I would work on more shorter miles but faster, and see if you can hit a 6-minute mile pace for 3 miles. That's just me. You know, instead of running 70 miles, let's try to get faster in the ones that really count, the ones that are graded for you every week, you know, or on whatever fitness test you're on. You know, because performance does matter. You know, no one cares you run 70 miles a week at a 10-minute pace. You know, I've seen a lot, put it this way. The reason why I have this discussion all the time is I can't tell you how many people I've seen who've run 50 plus miles a week and they never ran faster than 8-minute miles during those 50 plus. And I tell them, you got to run faster, you got to run faster. And they never passed a 4-mile timed run at Buds. And they were done in like 2 weeks. They got good at running slowly. So mix it up. You can run a LSD. If you like running LSDs, do it. You know, if you want to, but you're going to have to mix in some intervals. You're going to have to mix in some goal pace running. You're going to have to get used to running at the times and the speed that you need to exceed the standard. Otherwise, it doesn't just happen. Like you don't just show up one day and you're running a 6-minute mile. Good job, folks. Good questions this week. Everybody wants to talk about running because I guess it's nice weather. I tell you what, a lot of people happens too is it's funny because probably about 4 or 5 weeks into spring, as the weather has changed, I start getting a lot of feedback and questions on shin splints. So that is also another reason why I talk about the triathlon option of training. 2/3 of your cardio being non-impact, 1/3 of your cardio being running, because of so many people overdoing it their first month of training, and now they're injured in some way and they can't run for another couple of weeks, maybe longer, depending on the injury. And that sucks. Now you're forced to do nothing but non-impact cardio. So there you go. You guys got any more questions? We're about 23 minutes in. I'm going to go into the CSS critiques here probably at 30 minutes because I got 4 videos I want to show you. We'll just do them all back to back. What do you think about boxing? Great. Great workouts. Love them. Yes. It's good. If you're actually boxing and sparring, you're probably at some point going to want to pull back from actually punching people and potentially getting punched, just because, you know, the injuries that can occur with, you know, martial arts, you know, when you're a couple of months out from shipping and showing up at Buds, you know, last thing you want is an injury that's going to delay that or cancel that. You know, unfortunately, I've seen delays because people do something stupid before they even started, like that. But I've also seen people, you know, just go really bad to a point where they got disqualified and actually couldn't even join the Navy because it was a disqualifying injury, whether it was concussions or a bike wreck, guys doing non-impact cardio, but on a road bike, that's dangerous too. So that's up there, man, with practicing breath holds on your own. I've seen most people who die practicing this practice breath holds or they do road biking. There's a lot of triathletes that die because cars hit them. So do stationary biking. When it comes to rucking, what rucksack do you recommend? Want to buy a quality one? There's a couple. In fact, I wrote an article on it. I think I call it Rucksack Review. Put my name in it. And the title of the article is What Type of Rucksack Should You Get for Training? And I go through the standard, I'll put it in the comment section here. I go through the standard issue of rucks depending on the branch of service. I think you got the Molly pack, you got the Alice pack still being used. There's a couple other ones in there that you guys can check out and figure out which one works for you. I personally have two rucks. I have an Alice pack and I have a Molly pack. I like the Alice pack because I can put the weight in the radio pouch, which is up high by my shoulder blades, versus letting it hang down in the bottom of the bag by my butt. I also have a Molly pack that is pretty good too. I kind of like the plastic frame versus the metal frame of the Alice pack. So play around with it. I would recommend this. I would go to eBay and see what you can find because everybody's getting rid of rucks one way or another for whatever reason or another. And you can find some good deals on eBay versus paying a couple $100, at some surplus store or whatever. I'm in the Navy right now with 6 years in at 28. Do I still have a good chance of requesting BUDS training? Yes. You can always request BUDS training. Whether or not you get it, that's the big hurdle. But 28's under the age limit. 29 is the age limit. So, and with 6 years in, they usually do I've seen them do subtraction of active duty years. So, you could probably even go in at early 30, 31 with 6 years in, and it's not that big a deal. It's an easy waiver process. You just have to kick butt on everything, right? So you have to give them a reason. Now, the only problem is your rank. You're 6 years in right now. I don't know if you're an officer or enlisted. I'm not sure they will take an E6, and they definitely take very few O3s. They have to be a very young O3, maybe a frocked O3 at 4-year frocked or something. So kind of depends. Well, another way I've seen that work for people who've ranked out, is what they did was they went enlisted, they became an E6, and then during that process, they finished their college, they applied to OCS, and then went to BUDS as an ensign. So that's another way to work around if you've ranked out of being able to go there. They used to let E6s show up and be, they'd be the LPO. I'm not sure how many E6s have been there in a while. I think it's very few. It's usually E5 max. Good question though. But yeah, you can definitely request it. Just get to work and crush those standards, get good recommendations from your chain of command, get letter recommendation, get good evals. All that stuff matters. Let's see. Let's go ahead and shift screens and spend 30 minutes. We'll spend the rest of the time doing some CSS stuff. If you guys have questions, we'll take a break. So let me know if you guys can see this. Looks like you can. So this is a submitted one. I think I've watched it, but it's been a while. So I'm going to have to take a minute and just see what's going on. All right. So already I can tell you, it's 2 seconds in. You don't need these little flutter kicks off the wall. Like, just kick off the wall and keep your feet still. Kick off a little harder too. I mean, this looks like slow motion when he kicks off. So put some butt into this wall kick. Kick off hard. There you go. That looked pretty good. All that flutter kicking, it's not needed. I mean, it's not going to kill you, but it's just a waste of energy. Yeah, this is way too much flutter kicking. Top arm, bottom arm. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, top arm, bottom arm, kick, 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 kick. This looks more like swimming with fins. If you have a pair of fins on, this would probably be okay. But you're just sitting there with no good glide position right here for way too long. I mean, like, what is this? Right? So you're going to want to move a little faster. So your top arm's going to come down. Like, you got the timing of this down. So you want to go top arm, bottom arm. You should be ready to kick right now versus just this slow transition. I don't know what that is. See, that was like 2 seconds of nothing. You should be ready to kick when that bottom arm is pulling. So when that bottom arm pulls, your leg should be opening up right now. And then by the time it gets to the bottom, you are kicking and holding that glide. Right there. And see, you don't even hold the glide. You go right into the stroke. You should be kicking and then holding the glide. Can't even hold it there because it doesn't even stay there. So you should be holding the glide in this position 100%. Yeah, this is just lots going on here. Top arm, bottom arm, inhale. That's good, but that's about it. All these little kicks. Good. It's a good kickoff. That's good. Streamlined body position. So far, so good. Those kicks can go. Bottom arm comes out, or a double arm pull. Yeah, there's no need for you to just sit there with your arms down by your pants. It should be a lot more fluid than that. It should go top arm, bottom arm, kick, top arm, bottom arm, kick. Right. You're just you go top arm, bottom arm, and then go right into the next stroke. So that's actually a good one. I haven't seen this one. Yeah, all those kicks right there, way too much. And it looks like whenever you pull that top arm, you're kicking and pulling at the same time. So that's a little bit more of the elementary sidestroke version than the CSS. So you're mixing up way too many flutter kicks. Let me know if you can see me on this. Last week, some reason when I made that transition, you could not see me. You could hear me, but you could not see me. But it's all right, even if you can't. Anybody see me? Just put in the comment section that you can see me. I'm just testing out that it works. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. This time we'll do swimming with fins. And this is an interesting one because this is a competitive swimmer. Thanks, Tom. Competitive swimmer who puts on a pair of fins, and he's a little worried because he's slower than he is without fins. Don't worry about that. That is normal. I've seen people, be able to hit 42, 43 second 50s without fins, and then they put on a pair of fins and they're down to 48 seconds, 50 seconds. That's okay. These big fins will slow you down. They're not built for speed. You know what they're built for? Power. They're built for open water swimming. and getting through the currents. In fact, sometimes we do open water swims on Fridays, and there's guys that bring the little slip-on fins, or there are guys that forget their fins, and then there's guys that bring the rocket fins or the jet fins, and they just crush through the surf because there's always a current pushing them, which everybody kind of sticks together on that one. But coming back, they got to fight that current. And if you have a big pair of fins, you can fight that current pretty well. If you have a little flimsy pair of fins, it's actually kind of hard. You have to put out on that. If you have no fins at all, the chances of you fighting that current, depending on the speed of the current, is very slim. If it's anything over a knot, you're probably not going to fight it. So don't sweat that you're slower with a pair of fins on than without. But you got to do the math. And let's watch this. Like, you watch this guy, he kicks off the wall, does a really, get some dolphin kicks in there. And all he's doing is basically using his arms to breathe. Changes sides mid-stroke. That was interesting. You can do that if you want. That's a really smooth transition from strong side to weak side. I do recommend practicing that so you and your buddy can change sides throughout, especially long swims. Now he's just doing I think he did a scissor kick one way and he's doing dolphin kicks back, just trying to figure out which one he likes. But even so, he still did that in like 42 seconds, which is actually pretty fast. He's a competitive swimmer. He usually swims in like 36-second 50s. So but if you do the math on that, let's say you just slowed it down to 48 seconds. That's a 8-minute 500. That's a 16-minute 1,000. It's 32-minute 2,000. It's a 64-minute 4,000. Which when you are when you're swimming 2 miles in the open water, it's 4,000 yards. It's 2 nautical miles. So a nautical mile is 1,000 yards. You're going to swim 2 of those, open water, 4,000 yards. If you can do that anywhere between 64 and 70, you're solid, because the fastest third phase time you need is 75 minutes. And it's not that hard to do. Like you can see, getting 48 seconds on a 50 will get you that. You just got to be able to be in shape enough to handle, over an hour worth of swimming like that with those big scuba fins. It's a process to go from the fleet to buds, and they're being really selective right now. Yes, they are. Very good point. Have you talked to any scout teams where you're stationed at? Very good point. In open water, should you always be flutter kicking or scissor kicking? You know what? I'm going to leave that to preference. Some people say you shouldn't scissor kick, but there's a side on me and a lot of people that on the strong side, a good scissor kick with little flutter kicks in between feels pretty good. But then on my weak side, a big scissor kick does not feel good at all. So I just do constant flutter kicks, kind of a medium style flutter kick versus, like little bitty ones. It's kind of a nice steady pace, medium sized flutter kick. I'm going to let you be to this sider on that one. Some people like dolphin kicks. Like this swimmer here is trying to figure out what he likes best. Does he like the scissor kick? Or I'm sorry, does he like the flutter kicks, or does he like the dolphin kick? He actually prefers not doing the scissor kick at all. In fact, when he swims the 500-yard without fins, he uses a breaststroke kick. So there you go. Hey, let's do it again. Let me share my screen again. We'll do another one. Sorry, I got to pull this up here real quick. Uh-oh. Okay. Sorry. Wasn't showing up. So my window here. Let me know if you can see that. There you go. So we're going to kick off the wall here. Decent kickoff. That's a really good kickoff. Look at that. Woo. Yeah, this is fast. Top arm. Get those flutter kicks out of there. I tell you, those little flutter kicks are a waste of energy. Now, sometimes they're rotational kicks. Now, if you do a little bit of a flutter kick during that top arm pull, not a big deal. A lot of people move their feet when they move their arms. They're just tied to each other. Be a little tighter on that recovery, or I'm sorry, the glide there. You know, biceps on your ears. That's probably going to be a better better glide for you. This is good. Top arm, bottom arm, kick. This is really good. I mean, you're looking at what, 48, 49, 50 seconds, but I think we started like 4 seconds in. So it's like a 50, yeah, it's like a 50-second 50. Damn, you know, you started on 10 seconds in before you kicked off. So that was fast. Holy crap. So what is this? This is a, yeah, I thought that was fast. That's like 30, 40 seconds. So this is a 7-minute pace, sub 7. And you got a good scissor kick on that. If you're looking to try to get a better scissor kick, watch this guy's scissor kick. This is really good. I don't think he needs the little flutter kicks in there, but notice how far he glides with each scissor kick. It's really good. Top arm, bottom arm kick, hold the glide. This is really good. Watch, he's still moving. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, this is fast. I like that. What's the stuff you drink when we see you drinking? I am drinking water right now or iced tea. Unsweet iced tea if I need some caffeine. Just got through working out and it was really sweaty and humid today. So I am trying to catch up on my water intake. I even had some of this pickle juice. This stuff's tangy, man. A lot of electrolytes in there, though. So you want to see me drink this? Woo! Yeah, that's tangy, but it's good electrolytes. So anyway, funny question. Let's do one more. One more, and then we're done. Let me pull this up. All right, so this is a interesting view. Wasn't sure how he got into this view here, but let's pull it back a little bit. He's like right on top of him. Looks like he's got a drone on him. All right, so I would say this is a breaststroke kick version, and it looks like a non-swimming athlete trying to do the breaststroke. I typically have, if you're a non-swimming athlete, I teach scissor kick during the without fin swim. Just because most people haven't developed a strong breaststroke kick unless you actually were a swimmer in a previous life. And it doesn't really work for most people. This is definitely a breaststroke kick. It's not bad, but it's just slow. If you do the math here, this is probably about 56, 57. Here's 56 seconds there. So that is over a 9-minute pace on the swim. It's not horrible, but it's legal. I mean, you got a good top arm, bottom arm. Bottom arm could come a little quicker instead of hiding it, leaving it out there too long. So top arm. Yeah, as soon as you like turn your head and you're ready to inhale with that bottom arm, pull at the same time, and then kick and recover, hold that glide. Looks like you could be a little tighter on your, it's not too bad. Your recovery's pretty tight, actually. Just that one angle, it looked weird. My advice is play around with a scissor kick and see if it's faster for you. And if it's not, put on a pair of fins and see if that makes it faster for you. and see if a pair of fins can actually fix your scissor kick, because it's hard to cheat with a pair of fins on. You know, if you're doing flutter kicks or scissor kick, there's only one way to do it really. And it might help you create a better scissor kick out of that. Couple ways to do it. You know, once again, it's preference. You guys figure out um, what works best for you guys. If you're a non-swimming athlete, meaning you did athletics on land, did a lot of running, maybe played with some kind of ball, you're probably not going to have those inner thigh, hip muscles developed enough to be a really strong breaststroke kick, or knee and hip mobility even. All right, a few more questions. What should I expect at RASP? You're going to be running, rucking. Going to do that 5-mile run for sure. Make sure you're rucking a lot and running a lot, and of course PT, rope climb, obstacle courses. It's hard. It's hard. A lot of group training, teamwork stuff, land nav. So yeah, you don't need to do a whole lot of swimming. You know, be able to like survive in water, especially with all your gear on. Army tends to do a lot of the survival training in their basic military training or basic combat training, where you fall in a pool and you have all your gear on. You got to ditch your gear and come back out. So it's more of a survival skill than it is actually swimming. So the more comfortable you're on water, that makes that a little bit easier. But most of your stuff's 99% of your stuff's going to be on land. Running, rucking, PT. If you're skinny, build up some muscles so you can handle the loads of rucking and other equipment carries, body carries, things like that. Yep. No, you will not be considered old at 24. How to prepare for an O course if there isn't one available. You know, one of my favorite ways to do that is to mix burpees with pull-ups. So the way I do that is I got to pull up and then I run like 40, 50 yards and I do a burpee. And then I run back, do 2 pull-ups, run back, 3 pull-ups, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know, eventually you can start adding in rope pull-ups, you know, to work on your grip, because there's usually ropes on obstacle courses. You know, if you can find a wall or a fence to jump over every now and then, that might be pretty fun as well. I used to do this one workout where we had a fence in a big field with a fence that separated the 2 fields, but one side had pull-up bars, the other side was just a big field with a fence. So what we would do is we would do a pull-up, jump the fence, run to the other side of the, you know, about 20 yards past the fence, do a burpee, run, jump the fence. You know, you can mix in bear crawls, low crawls, you know, whatever you want, but you can definitely find some unique ways to almost make your own O course. You know, throw some tires out there and do the, you know, tire run, things like that. It's fun. Have I read any of Dick Couch's book? Yes, I'd recommend all of those books. I have read as many Dick Couch books as he has written, and they're good. I learn a lot, whether it's about Rangers or SF. Um, you know, the finishing school. You know, all of those books are really good. But then he also has some good historical SEAL story books, as well as a fictional book. I think his first book I read was called SEAL Team 1, and it was about his journey, uh, you know, going through buds and then getting to Vietnam back in Vietnam days. In fact, he spoke at my buds graduation, which was really cool. In fact, I have I think I have a picture of me saluting him in my getting my diploma from buds somewhere. That's always a fun one. I can't find it. Yep. Yeah, highly recommend it. Highly recommend anything Dick Couch writes to read. You will learn something. My latest one, I don't think I have a copy of it here. Maybe I do back here. Yep, I do. Underneath my hat is this one I read. Highly recommend it, by Water Beneath the Walls, Rise of the Navy SEALs. It is so thorough that they don't even say the word Navy SEAL until like chapter 9. So it's post-World War, into Vietnam, post-Vietnam, and it's really about the creation of all spec ops, not just SEALs. It goes from the creation of the OSS and the CIA to, how Army SF learned from the SAS. So it's huge education. I highly recommend that one because it's not just a SEAL book. It is a spec ops book, historical, and so well written and researched that you're not going to believe this. Like, this is a pretty thick book, but I went through this much right here. This much right here is reference. These are all notes, or not notes, but where he found this information from, which gives you, I don't know, this has got to be 100 pages of just pure, books and articles and, information that you can go dig into and just dig into deeper. Because that's what I would do. I would hear about one of these guys and I'd say, damn, who is this guy? I got to figure this guy out. And then, you find a story, and it's just incredible, especially some of those World War II missions they were pulling off with very little training, other than just maybe being a football player in college. I mean, that was in about 6 weeks of training, and they go pull off some world-changing spec ops mission. Pretty nuts. Yeah, Tom, good call. I think you're right. Good call, Tom. I appreciate that. Put me in that direction. Highly recommend him. All right, folks. Well, this is about it for another Tuesday. If you guys have any questions and I missed them, or that you think of something later, send it to me. You can email me at stu@stewsmith.com, or you can DM me in one of those social media platforms. If you're really looking into CSS critiques, I have several on this YouTube channel, but you can find all my latest ones over on TikTok, StuSmith50. I have over 100 voiceover critiques of submitted swim videos for folks. You want me to critique you, just send it to me, no problem. And we'll I don't necessarily have to put it on air. I usually just send a personalized email to everybody who sends one and says, here's what you're doing wrong. However, if it's a good one and a pretty common one, might show it on one of these shows. If you don't want that to happen, just tell me, and it won't let it happen. So you guys can go to StuSmithFitness.com, check it out for more articles and programming. You can use a coupon code COMPETE20 and save 20% even. So I appreciate your time. Good luck to you guys, and I will catch you next week. Until then, have a good one.